Swedish prosecutors have now announced that they will no longer be pursuing charges against Julian Assange, who remained for 7 years inside of the Ecuadorian embassy, getting asylum away from these accusations and the desire of the United States to have him extradited to there, where he would most likely be executed. Now, the investigators are saying that the evidence was not strong enough to support an indictment. The deputy chief prosecutor, Eva Marie Pearson, told a press conference on Tuesday these very facts and said that now so much time has passed, it's not likely that we could get a conviction. Of course, what she's very deliberately leaving out is that the witness, the person who actually made the accusation, has recanted her story and said that she was pressured to create it to begin with. Of course, this part of it is not being reported by the authorities that are seeking him. They're saying, oh, we probably couldn't get an conviction after all this time. In other words, well, they're still going to portray him as guilty, but essentially drop the charges. The charges are nonsense, and they wouldn't hold up in court, and they know that. So they're dropping them, saying that it's been too long and that they wouldn't be able to get it. So you can kind of see what they're doing here. They're accusing him of having done it without really willing to go through the effort of actually proving that, because they know very well that they can't. Now, this is very specifically what she said regarding the case. The reason for this decision is that the evidence has weakened considerably due to the long period of time that has elapsed since the events in question. So this very much, speaks to what I just previously said about the reasons for dropping the charges against Assange. Not that the charges are false and have been proven so by the actual accuser herself. Now, Assange is currently being held in a UK prison, he's received a 50-week sentence on a 7-year-old bail jumping charge stemming from his decision to leave Sweden with authorities' permission, which later they rescinded during the false rape accusation. Now, the problem here is that by all accounts, by everyone who has seen him, who's had any contact with him, says that his health is failing. He very much, in a very real sense, is actually dying, both physically and mentally. I mean, even just being inside the Ecuadorian embassy for 7 years is, just being trapped in that building for 7 years is probably enough to drive someone's mental health straight down a well. And now there's reports of him being beaten, being physically and emotionally tortured while he's being held. And his mother, members of his family, people who have gone to visit him say that his health is very much deteriorating. And this is probably going to be their method of execution, knowing that they rather than actually have it on them that they committed an execution, they're probably going to do this instead, because it's a more politically acceptable way. They have plausible deniability. Well, we didn't do it. This just happened because of everything that was going on, so we're not responsible for what happened. But it's interesting to look at Julian Assange's case, a man who very well stood up against the crimes that were being committed by the United States, specifically the U.S. military, in the name of empire. And he's treated like this. Meanwhile, the whistleblower against Trump, who may or may not have perfectly valid evidence against him, is being treated as almost a savior. He's being given better state security protection than Donald Trump himself, because on any given day, you could probably guess where Donald Trump is. But this whistleblower has come forward. Nobody knows where he is. Nobody even knows who he is. He's under better protection than the president himself. So what's with the double standard on whistleblowers who come forward about crimes that have been committed by those in power? Well, I think it's pretty obvious that the crimes that Donald Trump has committed, and I'm certain there's a lot more of them than we even know about, are politically useful. They're crimes that can be used by another section of the capitalist class to try to get rid of him in order to forward their interests over those that supported Trump. Because one of the things that people tend to forget when they're looking at Marxist theory, not Marxists ourselves, but people outside looking in, tend to think that we have some monolithic view that all of the capitalists are in some kind of conspiracy. Well, they're not. At the end of the day, they go home and think of ways to screw with each other, way to rip each other off, to get over on one another, etc., to get their interests pushed inside of the government body rather than those that do oppose them and is in their interest to do something different. And that's really what this is here. A significant portion of the capitalist class does want to get rid of Trump because of all the harm he has caused, particularly with the trade war with China and some of the more disgraceful actions that are being taken at the border with Mexico. Not that the Democratic Party actually cares about migrants, but they do care about their image to some degree, try to make themselves look a bit better. You can see this when contrasting Republican presidents with the Democratic presidents. You could see while they still do the same thing in the end, you can see that veneer of difference. But you could see this definite double standard. What Julian Assange did was come forward and speak the truth about power, about abuses that were being carried out in the name of empire, which supports the interests of everybody within the capitalist class, which serves the interests of the American empire. That's why he doesn't get the protections that this guy reporting on what Trump is doing. That's why he's not getting treated well like him. Because Assange showed the crimes that the empire collectively was committing, and that is the ultimate sin that he has committed here.
Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.